Alright, what's up, YouTube? I'm back. Yeah! Alright, people. It's almost maybe an hour left before it's sunset. Now, this is supposed to be tonight's YouTube video, so it's going to be starting tonight, and then it's going to head until tomorrow. So I decided I want to film tomorrow's video, today's video, and still be able to conserve energy and build up my second sports channel, so you guys won't be getting too many videos on this primary channel because one, I am running out of space. Two, I have a reserve channel that has a lot of space, and then I have a sports channel, which begs the question, should I make another channel for my primary channel? And I probably am going to make another channel, but that won't be until the end of the week, and I haven't decided, should that be when I make television reviews, movie reviews? So I am going to do that. Alright, this one is going to be part 3 in my movie series of summer blockbuster movies. Part 1 was talking about the top 6 movies. Part 2 was talking about the top 9 movies. This one's part 3. And you know what they say, you go in strong in the paint when you play basketball. You can play around in the first quarter. You can kind of take the basketball game serious in the second quarter and the third quarter, but it's the fourth quarter where you show up and rise to the occasion and do, as they say in all sports, close out the show, close out the game, give a big, strong finish. So we're going to call this sex game the top 10 television and movies of mid to late summer, fall, from 2020 to 2024, part 3. Now, I apologize to my audience and my new audience that is a long title for a video. It's part 3 in this series. Sometimes I make 2 videos. Sometimes I make 3 videos, 4, 5, 6 videos. Very rare that I make a series that lasts 6 to 7 videos. This just gets 3. Your standard 3. You know how they do Star Wars, where they always end it with 3 movies? Think of it as that. Now, there's still some movies and television shows that I have not mentioned in part 1 and part 2 and part 3. So you may never know. Somewhere in the distant future, I might come back with a part 4. I did promise the people that love anime that I would come back with an actual part 4 to animes that should be made in television and film. So you may never know, that video could drop by the end of this week once I come out with a list and, put it on script. I have a script with me right now. So, coming in at number 10 is Black Lightning. Now, a lot of people do watch Black Lightning. The difference between Luke Cage and Black Lightning being a television show is that Black Lightning has more of a fan support system. People seem to actually like the television concept. In the urban city, it's a black guy who's a high school principal in the daytime named Jefferson, and at nighttime he's a crime-fighting vigilante. This show's been so successful since it aired on the CW network that the first season was very well written, very well directed, very good acting. Season 2 just as good as season 1. They were currently in season 3. So this show was 3 seasons into the television show. And for a moment, people was afraid that because Luke Cage got canceled with Jessica Jones and Daredevil and all those other shows, they were afraid Black Lightning was going to get, canceled. Black Lightning's a DC superhero, so if you ain't seen the first 3 seasons, I don't want to ruin the seasons if you ain't never seen them. And there is going to be a season 4 of Black Lightning. Now, he did pop up in the crossover to the second half of Crisis of Infinite Earth. Some people like this crossover, some people don't. His powers began to manifest when he found himself teaming up with the Flash, Batwoman, Superman from the movie, Superman from television shows, Supergirl, and other DC characters without ruining that storyline. So, I do believe that we are going to get a season 4 of Black Lightning. You're just going to have to wait a lot longer. And I have a feeling they're probably going to film back-to-back. Season 4 and Season 5 is going to be back-to-back. So it'll probably be the first television show of that character to get 5 seasons. So they're going to film season 4 and season 5 back to back and do more future crossovers. If you think that's the last time we're going to see Black Lightning team up with characters like the Flash, don't be surprised they do another big DC event crossover a year or 2 years from now, and all of a sudden it involves Black Lightning. That was his first crossover. It's not his last. He will show up in a future crossover. Now, coming in at number 9 is ObI Wan, the Star Wars television show. Now, some people are kind of divided. Some Star Wars fans, new Star Wars fans, old Star Wars fans, people who read the comic books of the Star Wars expanded universe, some say they want an Obi-Wan Kenobi anthology film. Some people think Obi-Wan should get 3 movies. Some say Obi-Wan should just get 1 film. Some want Obi-Wan Kenobi to have a television show. I'm like this. I'll watch anything Star Wars as long as it's very well produced, very well directed, very well written, good actors, good storyline, and not some stuff that's just average and mediocre. I want something that when I see the name Star Wars, it's taken serious. Now, I know a lot of people do not like the Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, and I know some people were very upset with the final conclusion, The Rise of Skywalkers, but to me, I always wanted to find out what did Obi-Wan Kenobi did for those 20, 30 plus years before we got Star Wars A New Hope, before we got Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, before we got Return of the Jedi, before he decided to fight Darth Vader in a rematch and transcend and become one with the Force. The idea of him being on Tatooine and looking over a young Luke Skywalker is very interesting to me. The idea that he could fight other villains that are not like the typical villains of the prequel trilogy. Say what you will about the prequels, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which was by far the best film in the prequels. Say what you will about the Attack of the Clones Episode 2, but to me, Revenge of the Sith was by far the best one. You saw Obi-Wan Kenobi in his prime. And if you take Ewan McGregor, who plainly plays that version of Obi-Wan, not only we get to see some more of his Force abilities and him become one with himself and meditate in the Force, you could have Yoda in the show or in the movie, and I think this was something that my dad said that they could have done. They could actually find some way that if you make it into a television show, make it 10 episodes. You could stream it on Disney Plus. Season 1, Obi-Wan Kenobi, 10 episodes of a television show. I don't care if it's a television show. I don't care if Obi-Wan Kenobi gets 3 movies or 1 movie. You could do half and half. You could do 10 episodes a season in a movie. Half and half, if that's too confusing. And I'll still go support and watch a Star Wars property. The Mandalorian, don't tell me about Season 1 and Season 2. I am going to give me a Disney Plus for spring break. I am going to get Disney Plus. I know some people are going to say, man, what took you so long? Hey, I got other shows I have to watch. But my point is, I'll watch Obi-Wan Kenobi if you do that. I will watch it. A lifesaver, him telling the story of how the Jedi's rise and the Jedi's fall. All you got to do is get Yoda to be the narrator to tell the story of how the Jedi's rise and fall, so you could probably have Yoda show up in 2 or 3 episodes. So that way, okay, we saw Yoda. And then if you want to have, I always thought the first episode could start with him roaming the planet to see what's on the planet. To find food and water, and then he sees Tusken Raiders, and then he has to fight them. And then you see, because it ain't set in the prequels yet, it's past the prequels, you could give Obi-Wan Kenobi a love interest, right? If Anakin Skywalker can have a love interest and have a girlfriend and have 2 kids, why can't you have it where he actually does fall in love and break one of those rules of the Jedi Order? I should not fall in love. You could play around with that mythology. That's something they could actually write in. And then towards the end of that 10 episode Season 1, he could have nightmares or premonitions in his meditation of Darth Vader. So then you can see some Vader come in there. So the audience can know that somewhere in New Hope, before it gets to New Hope, he is going to fight Vader. again eventually. There are ways you could actually do that. You can have him fight Jedis who don't agree with him doing what he's doing. Like, there are some Jedis that did escape Order 66. They actually did escape to other planets. And you can make it where he refuses to join the surviving Jedis to take on the Galactic Empire. Like, you got 12 Jedis, and Obi-Wan turns down their opportunity to take on the Empire. So you could have it where he could have been fought Darth Vader, but he doesn't want to do it. He'd rather look over baby Luke than to take part in that conflict. Because we know later in New Hope he's going to fight Darth Vader anyway. That would open the door for him to fight somebody like Darth Maul. I'm just saying what you could do with the Obi-Wan movie, or movies, or a television show. I'm just explaining to you what could be done with that. Now we get to, coming in at number 8, Black Adam. Now, I know a lot of people really want to see this movie very badly. I mean, for almost 13 years, they've been talking about Black Adam the movie, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. To me, I do believe at some point we are going to see a live-action movie of Black Adam. Why is it kept quiet? You could film part 1 and part 2 back to back. You can film part 1 and part 2. That way, by the time we get Black Adam the movie, 2 or 3 years later, you get part 2. But here's the thing. He's tied with so many film studios, you're just going to be waiting for a long time for this movie to come. I mean, he's already said he was going to do Hobbs and Shaw Part 2. So there's going to be a sequel to the Fast and Furious spinoff. He still could possibly pop up in Fast 10. So he still could pop up in 2 more movies of the Fast and Furious franchise, even if they're spinoffs. Then there's talks with him trying to do something with the MCU, which we all know that there were talks between him and Kevin Feige, but nothing really happened yet. And then he's doing some other movies from other movie studios. So I would probably say somewhere around 2022 or 2023, we finally get a Black Adam movie. Now, if we don't get 2 live action films, we might end up having, they might actually end up being forced to do the one thing they don't want to do, and that is recast with a younger actor. Think about it. If we don't get Black Adam the movie, the next logical step is a Black Adam television show. I mean, think about it. When you hear stories that this happened back in 2008 or 2009 or 2012, and it's now 2020, how many more years do you want to wait for a Black Adam movie? I mean, I'm not trying to be tough on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but he's got a lot of responsibility. The guy just got married, the guy's got 2 kids, and he's doing like at least 3 or 4 movies. And then he has a television show that he's producing for HBO, which is Ballers. They already did 3 seasons. I think they might have just done 5 seasons of the television show. If he wanted to, he could go back and say, hey, can we make a season 6 of Ballers? Because certain shows in on 4 or 5 seasons, then he has that show that he produces. So he has a lot on his plate. And then there's talks of trying to bring him back for a G.I. Joe movie. You know, he did one G.I. Joe movie, and in here they're talking about he might pop up in that. And then they're talking about doing a sequel to San Andreas Fault, or Skyscraper Part 2. So there's all these other movie franchises that he's a part of. So it's like, if we don't get a Black Adam Part 1 and Part 2, or if we don't get 2 movies by that date, then you might go for a Black Adam television show. I think the best thing you do is you cast a younger actor to play him in television until you can decide when you're going to move forward with the movies. That way, you still have a Black Adam, it just ain't the movie version. That's what I would do. Make a television show for 2 or 3 seasons until you can decide, do we move forward with the movie, or we just, recast. And I'm talking about do one for television. Like, you can have a younger version of him pop up in season 3 of Teen Titans, just so the audience can stay, glued and connected to that character. So when you get to the movie, you can have it where he already has his powers, we already know who he is, and we don't have to go down the origin story, because a lot of people get tired of these origin stories and just want to get to the, the story of how the character is. So that's my thoughts on Black Adam. Coming in at number 7, Top Gun 2. Not only Tom Cruise is going to give us a Mission Impossible 7 and possibly a Mission Impossible 8, because I already told you in my last video, he's probably going to do 7, and then knowing him, because once Tom Cruise gets started on something, he gets started, he stays doing it. He might do a 7 and an 8 back to back. And then because it's Top Gun 2, don't be surprised they turn around and tell him, you want to do a Top Gun 3? You do know for a fact that actually happens. When he did Jack Reacher, he did part 1, turn around and did a part 2, and then there were talks and ideas to do a part 3. And he always is entertained by those ideas. Like, people are still waiting for Edge of Tomorrow part 2 to come out. And he really wants to do that movie. Out of all the movies, he really wants to do that sequel. But you're getting Top Gun 2. Don't be surprised if they turn around and say, yo, Tom, you want to do a Top Gun 3? Knowing him, he probably would say yes to it if it's a good story. So, moving on. Coming on the list at number 6, Deadpool 3 or a television show. Now, here's the thing with Deadpool. I like the first film. Very well written, very well directed, good story, good versus bad, not exactly your traditional superhero or action hero. He's more of a dark nature character. He's kind of like Punisher. He's kind of like Blade in a way. He stays to himself. If he teams up in the group, it's a small, limited group. He's the superhero that can't be with the X-Men or the Avengers because he's too over the top, too extreme, doesn't do things the way they're supposed to do, does things outside the box, but he takes the comic comedian with dark humor, yes, dark humor, and does it. Now, to me, if you go with a Deadpool 3 and you're trying to get him to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there are so many ways you can bring his character together. If you pair him up with Doctor Strange, he can provide the comedy, why Doctor Strange provides the action and the adventure and the excitement. You pair him up with Spider-Man, to me, the only way that works is if he's a character that Spider-Man has to come to because the big name Avenger superheroes are missing in action and there's no one for help. That's the only way I can see him pair it with Spider-Man. And that might, it might be too much of a stretch. If this was like you were bringing in, let's say, Captain Marvel, which I didn't mention on this list. And I probably will mention it as a bonus, so don't be surprised or shocked if I get into the bonus. To me, Deadpool, if you could bring him in, it would probably be Doctor Strange 3, and I'll tell you why. Because you need it to where there is a villain that Doctor Strange cannot combat with his powers, and he needs someone for extreme situations. Like, Deadpool is a character you bring in when you can't get the Avengers, or you don't have the Fantastic Four, or you don't have the X-Men, and you need someone at the last minute. Like, hell, if you did Black Panther 3, I could imagine you do a story where Nick Fury brings him in and says, I had no other choice. Like, that would be the best way to write him in, is you make it, I would say Captain Marvel 3, I think you would probably do that with Deadpool. You make it where she's annoyed by the fact that he talks too much. And she looks at Nick Fury and says, why did you bring this guy in? And Nick Fury goes, he was the only superhero I can get. And she goes, he's not a superhero. And you could have some funny scene where he irritates the hell out of her. And she go, I can't believe I have to work with this guy. That would probably be, like, to me, and I hate to say it, he's going to be like the Hulk. Think about it. Hulk doesn't get no solo movies, right? Hulk only had 2 movies, right? And they had to pair Hulk up with other characters in the Avengers. Well, I think that's what's going to happen with Deadpool. Even if you make a Deadpool live television show and you put it on Disney Plus, it would be good because you still get the Deadpool that breaks the fourth wall, where if you have him in the movies, you can kind of have him bend and break the rules every now and then. That's what you do with Deadpool. Now coming in at number 5, the She-Hulk. We're going to see the Hulk again, right? We all agree that it's better to see the Hulk with the Avengers than to have him have a solo movie because the rights is owned by Universal, of course. And if you do the She-Hulk, it would make sense to have the She-Hulk in there. I mean, Jennifer Walters, the cousin of the Hulk, a lawyer by daytime, superhero, crime-fighting vigilante at night, turns green, has his powers and abilities. To me, you could make She-Hulk just like Jessica Jones, where it explains how she got her powers. Like, you can have her narrate her own story. You can have Bruce Banner, the Hulk, in there for the first 3 episodes. If that's too many episodes, you can have him in there for the first 2 episodes. Maybe the season finale, he comes back to help her fight a big-time villain. You create a female version of the She-Hulk for the She-Hulk to fight. That way, it's okay. It's the final episode, 10 episodes or whatever. She needs help. That's the best way to do the She-Hulk. And then that's how you would bring her into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Of course, somewhere in that show, we would see the Red Hulk. General Ross. That would be an interesting story where he's trying to not only get the Hulk, he now has to apprehend the She-Hulk. Because it's not one, it's 2 of them. That could explain, the end credit scene in Black Widow. Spoiler alert. Don't want to give away too much. Alright, now we get to number 4. The Watcher Season 2. It was a big smash hit in Season 1. Don't tell me anything in the comment section about The Watcher Season 1. I have yet to watch it on Netflix. I'm going to get me a Disney Plus and a Netflix by the end of the month, so don't tell me anything about the episode, okay? Don't spoil it. Don't say anything. Season 2, I think, will be better than Season 1. And I have a feeling they're going to film Season 2 and Season 3 back to back. When it's all said and done, you're going to get Season 2 and Season 3 back to back. Henry Cavill seems to love this character. A lot of people want him to still remain as Superman. This will give him something to do. Season 2 and Season 3 film back to back. Yeah, so this show was by far the most interesting show of this year. So, yeah, The Watcher. Alright, coming in at number 3, The Flash. A lot of people were expecting The Flash to continue forward. Well, what I have to say, I would probably say The Flash, and this is just me, it is gonna come back, okay? You're gonna get the second half of Season 6 of The Flash. I promise you, you're going to get the second half of Season 6 of The Flash, and they're going to film Season 6, and they're going to do Season 7 back-to-back. So you're going to get the rest of Season 6, you're going to get Season 7, and you're going to get another big crossover with The Flash and another hero. They already confirmed Stargirl and The Flash are going to cross over, but I also told you in the beginning of this video, like 20 minutes ago, don't be surprised if you see a crossover with him and Black Lightning and other characters. So he might cross over twice with other heroes. So that's what you need to understand about The Flash. Now coming in at number 2, because this is going to be highly anticipated, Loki television show. You want to see the Loki television show. I want to see Loki. You want to see Loki. The people who saw the first Thor film. Now, I know Thor Dark World was a shitty-ass movie, and it really wasn't that good, because whenever I bring up Thor the Dark World to people at my job, at California Disney Adventure, they look at me like, man, that movie sucked, man. That was the worst Thor movie in history. Even the actor Chris Hemsworth will tell you that movie was kind of disappointing. But the best parts of that movie was Loki. You can't tell me that the first Thor film was good because of Loki. Loki was the reason why the first Thor film was good. Same thing with the second film. If there was anything funny about the second Thor film, it was because of Loki. Of course, I like the part where Chris Hemsworth is fighting the giant robot monster, and he does his little tough guy act, which was Thor. The third film, again, is because of Loki, and he was the main villain in the Avengers. And just the idea that they took that version of Loki and have him mess with time, don't be surprised that if they do pair Deadpool up with someone, it could be with Loki. Think about it. At the end of Deadpool 2, Deadpool's messing with time himself, right? Yeah, and what is Loki doing at the end of Avengers Endgame? Messing with time itself. If you got two of these characters and you let Deadpool pop up in an episode of Loki, you'll get the hugest ratings in history. I'm telling you, Deadpool and Loki, I'm calling it. Somewhere in the movie or in a future television show or in their own shows, you can have them play with time. Think about it. It'd be like a funny parody, but you could do things that make sense. Like Deadpool does things to anger and upset Wolverine, and Loki does stuff to upset his stepbrother Thor. Come on, this is gonna be highly anticipated. Loki. Who? Tell me who doesn't want a Loki television show? If you say no, you must be crazy. Coming in at number one, the number one watch television show. It might take a year, it might take 2 years, but this one will be the best one by far. Wanda Vision. The fact that the actress said that her character is by far the most powered female character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She destroyed one of the Infinity Stones before Thanos reversed time with reality and killed Vision in the movie. And the fact that we got to see her character in the second Avengers movie, of course, end scene of Captain America Winter Soldier, and then in the second Avengers film, you know, the actress gets to come back and play her character. And the fact that she got to be in Captain America Civil War, and then to turn around and be in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So she got to be in these movies. And the fact that she got to, because you got to remember, even though she tried to beat Thanos, I think she and other characters got erased, and she's gonna have her own show. And what's so good about this is it ties into Doctor Strange 2 World of Madness. So she gets her own television show, and then she's gonna be a big part of that movie. She's gonna be the main reason why realities get destroyed and gets morphed, and Doctor Strange is probably gonna be the one having to come show her how to control her power. So she gets super powerful, but he has to, it explains why in his movie reality is being destroyed, the fabric of reality. And I'm willing to bet my money that her television show and his movie goes in conjunction to what happened with the Ancient One said in Avengers Endgame when she told Bruce Banner after she knocked him out of his Hulk transformation that if you don't put the stones back, you could cause that reality to collapse. So I'm pretty sure they're going to have to take some references and Easter eggs from Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and kind of sneak them into both the television show and the movie. So it's going to be nice to see some part of her show into his movie. And I think that's going to make you want to watch the television show. And it's going to make you want to watch Doctor Strange 2 World of Madness. So these are by far the best movies and television shows. Some of them, half and half, could come out between 2021 and 2022. The rest of them might end up coming out in 2023 and 24. And of course, the bonus, Captain Marvel. There's going to be a Captain Marvel 2. They already said that they are entertaining the idea that if they pair her up with Wolverine, you do that, it'll be a badass movie. People want to see Wolverine come back. To me, if you make Wolverine get 3 solo movies by himself, that's the thing to do with his character first. And then you introduced him in, so that way people kind of already know who Wolverine is. If they bring Rogue in, it's because of the 1990s X-Men cartoon. Because that's how Rogue got her power, by taking the power away from Captain Marvel. Which I'm actually going to be cheering for Rogue, so they put Rogue in there. I'm only going to be watching the movie because of Rogue. I know some people, don't even like the first movie, but the only thing about that is when they pair her up with other Marvel characters, she do seem to be a likable character. So that's a bonus. It's not the number one thing on the list. It's a bonus, okay? A bonus means something you announce after the number one thing. So don't unsubscribe like y'all did to Tyrone Madness last year when Tyrone Madness was praising that movie. I mean, I didn't go see it when it came out because at the time I was at work and I got called into the last minute at work. And then when I had a chance to see that, another movie came out, and then it was time to look for a new job. So it was a depressing time. So yeah, these are the movies and the television shows. Now I apologize if the name of the title of the movie is too long, and if there's a movie or television show that I didn't mention, don't be upset because I could come back in the near future and make a part four. Because, like I said, there are so many movies, so many television shows. I can't put them all in part one, part two, and part three. So you got 3 videos. And some of y'all might actually agree with me. Some of y'all will disagree with me. Some of y'all will like the video. Some of y'all will hate and bash the video. Some of you will say the video was too long. Some of you are going to say you should have just made it all movies or all television. This one I wanted to be creative and make it half movies, half television. So when y'all watch this tonight or tomorrow morning, you'll be entertained. Once again, it's talking about television and film. I ain't talked about sex and dating yet. I took a break from it. So y'all should be happy that y'all getting 4 or 5 videos that ain't really talking about no sex and dating. I'm trying to take a break from that and try something new for once. Until then, peace.